All right, so we are creating a A4 flyer, an imaginary um, church program flyer. It's going to be A4. It's something that they are going to print on the printer. So from Photoshop, create new. So under create new, A4 is usually under prints. So under prints, choose A4. If you remember from our flyers class, I talked about most printable A4, most printable flyers will have A4 size. So if you look here, you see you have portrait, orientation, you have portrait and landscape. So depending on what you want to do for the client. So this time we are going to use portrait. Portrait means standing straight. Landscape is this like this TV now. This TV is a landscape. So create. All right. So when you click on create, you have an empty A4 paper for your design. So make sure you have under this menu bar here, or sorry, to standard menu bar. Make sure you have this in layers. Make sure auto select is on. Make sure show transform controls is also on. Make sure your properties panel is showing. Make sure your layers panel is showing with background locked. So these are some of the checks you have to make before you start designing. Then also make sure you have your adjustments and libraries very close to you, very close to your properties panel before you start designing. So the resources we are going to be using for our design is here, flyer design 2. So we've all copied that now. You see we have photo of this man here, photo of this guy is here, and our logo is our church logo. Then the inspiration for our design is from Pinterest. We are going to recreate this class. We are going to try to recreate it. Are we excited? Yes, we're excited, right? Yes, but we might not get exactly the same thing. So let me just copy the image and in Photoshop. I'll just sorry, see, and let me just create a new one. It and paste it. So it's going to be close, and we're going to use it for as reference. All right. So first things first. What did we do first when we designed our former flyer? What was the first thing? Thank you. Background. So background first. If you go to your flyer design um, folder, you have your white background. What do we do? Drag and drop. Go back to the folder. Look at it here. It's here. Close this desktop. So having done that, what we just need to do is we rotate. Hmm? You see where I brought my cursor to until it changes to this curved arrow. Hold shift and rotate. Okay. So we are trying to get our background to cover um, the design. Okay. So when you rotate, have you rotated yours? Mouse. All right. So to make the background cover the entire design, just move it to the edge. Move it to the edge. Then come to this side, to the bottom right corner. Make sure your mouse cursor is this shape. That's for resizing. Press and hold, shift, and then drag until it covers the background. It can go past it. You can make it go past it if you want. Press enter and So when you're done, press enter. All right, so like I said, there's one step we've forgotten is to create our guides. So you remember how to do that now. Do I need to start talking again? But this time we're going to use 200, 200 by 200 width and height. So please just do that and not waste time. Yes, 200 pixels by 200. Do the same thing for the, sorry, I made a mistake. It's supposed to be here. Yeah. So do the same thing for this side. All right, so you should have this. Remember, 200 by 200. Let's continue. So let's look at this. I'm just going to get this. We're going to name our church City of David. So let's do one more, let's draw one more guide. And I want that guide to be at the center. Okay, so what we'll do is draw another rectangle. Let's see if it now just I want the rectangle automatically come to the center. So just draw a guide to it and snap. So that we'll have one at the center. So the way I did it, when you draw a rectangle, if you just tap, it will automatically drop at the center. It's supposed to drop at the center. If you don't drop outside the center, it should drop at the center. If it doesn't drop at the center, select the rectangle, press shift and select the background. You will see align here. So align it to the center. Then you can come and place your guide to the center. That's this center, this thing here. Once you're done, select the rectangle and delete it. You don't need it again. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop our logo, our church logo. So pick that Methodist logo PNG, drop it, and make sure it's centered. And we're going to make the size reduce to it gets to um, let's use 400. So once it's 400, bring it to the center like this, and make sure the top is aligned to the top guide. Press enter once you're done. Yeah, it's 400 by 400. You're not holding shift. You're doing magic resizing. Always hold shift when resizing pictures in Photoshop. So the top of the logo should match with your the top guide. Okay? Match with the top guide. Assigning attendance. You can use your arrow keys to achieve that. Alright, so the next thing is to enter the name of our church. The name is City of David. So City of David. Click on the text tool and click to type caps City. So even though my own is small now, use the text tool. There's no magic there. Use text tool. Let me change the size to 18. City of David Church. So my font will be Arial, since most of you have Arial. So use Arial bold. Arial bold. Let's increase the size to 24 and then bring it to the center and use your arrow keys to center it. City of David Church. For the color of the text, I want to pick the blue color on the logo. So there's a blue color on the logo, right? So select the text, click on it to select it, or you can just select it from the layers panel. Yeah. Then go to color, under properties, go to color. Then when you come outside, just select, use your eyedropper tool to pick a blue color from the logo. So I like this color. If you want to use the exact color I'm using, my hex code is 003298. 003298. So the name of your church and the logo should have a nice distance between them. It should not be too close. It should be a nice. Remember the principle of white space in design. So you should have enough space between, not too much, not too little. Use your eyes and your creativity to know what's space. So this is enough for me. Sometimes Photoshop will even try to help you space it by itself. And the reason we have these guides here so that we can obey our principles of alignment. So alignment is very, very important when you are designing. Okay, so the next thing to do now is to we're getting what we are doing from here. So let's go ahead and work with and create this evening of praise and worship. Okay, so we're going to have a circle here. We're going to have this shape here that we're going to use for our design. So let's go ahead and do that. The theme of the program is okay. There's something we're missing. Present, right? Yeah. So let's get that done. Okay. Now I want you to notice something about this present. Let me zoom in. Zoom in. Control plus to zoom in. So you see the present. The P, R, E, the letters are far away from each other. Hmm? So I'll show you how to do that. So let's go there now. Text box. Follow me. Follow me. Let's go. Your present should be in capital letters. So caps lock on your keyboard. Present. Type presents. When you're done, move back to your move tool. Make sure present is selected on your layers panel. You can move it to the center. Okay, let's reduce the size of the present to 18. So select the font size and type 18. Press enter and also center it up. So bring it close to the City of David. Make sure it now select it from your layers panel. Then go to where you have VA. See this VA here? This VA it means it's what we call kerning. That's the space. Now to make the characters separate from each other, go to that VA and choose 200%. The 200% is even small. 200% is small, so let's try 400. Yeah, 400 is small. Let's go to 1000. Yeah, 1000 is what we are looking for. So then maybe change the color of the presents to black or gray color. Okay, so use a gray, like not too black, gray color, or you can also pick your color from the background. So if I come to color, where's my color? See these dark areas in the background, you can just come and uh, but it might not give you what you want. So just make sure it's around here. Just a dark, how do we call it? A tint. So you add white to your black, get something like this. It's fine. So next thing is to enter the theme, evening of praise and worship. Now the best way to do this thing is to type each of the word separately, because they will have separate designs and separate effects. So typing it together will be difficult. So what you do, the first one is evening, right? So shortcut for text tool is T. Just press T on your keyboard. So evening. I think everything is in capital letters. Let's check. Yes, no, it's not in capital letters. So we just use sentence case. Evening. Now you might notice that the kerning is still applying, right? So just go to move to, go back to the kerning as VA and select 0. Okay. Now select the type tool again. Evening, so type off, move to, then text tool again. Just type them randomly anywhere. We'll come and arrange them. Evening of praise. So after typing each one, just go back to your move to praise worship. So pick evening. Let's change the size to change the font to Vedana. Vedana bold. That's Verdana. Vedana bold. And we're going to make our size. Let's try 72. 72 is good. So do it for evening, praise, then worship. So Vedana bold size 72. I'll just move it to one side. Same thing for worship. Vedana bold size 72. So that we have, and just move them around. Then just move Control Z. So if you have problem moving all these tiny text, zoom in, Control plus to zoom in, so that it appears properly, and you can move them around easily. Please reduce it to 0. Control 0 to come back to your normal zoom. So from the design, from the inspiration we're using, the praise is the biggest, even is a bit smaller, and worship is also a bit smaller. So let's adjust that. Let's leave evening at 72. Let's make worship 80. Worship 80, and let's make praise 100. That's the font size. Then for the smaller ones, that's for off. Let's make the size 48. And for and, the same thing, 48. So don't mind the way they are scattered now. We are going to arrange them. For the evening, the praise and the worship, I want you to select each one and change the angle. See where you change angle from. See this point here? Look at my screen. Look at my screen. This is where you change angle. Don't come and ask me where did you change angle. So the angle we're going to use is -8. So just type it, -8. So it bends this way. We want to get this bending that is here. So I'm using -8. Do it for the praise too. Change the angle to -8. Same thing for worship. Change the angle to -8. So minus is a dash on your keyboard. So like I said, center align evening praise and worship. So this is how you center align them. See, you see the center. It's at the center of the guide. This is the center. You see this center box here, a small box tells you the center of the object. So if the center is on top of the guide, it means that it is center aligned. The same thing with praise, it's already center aligned. If yours is not center aligned, just move it until the center gets to the center of our guide. That's our center guide. Same thing with worship. So at this point, I'm going to drop um, picture of our speaker for our pastor. Just drop it. Hmm. And I'll resize it. Hold shift while resizing. Let me say the width should be around, let's do, the width should be 1500. So yeah, 1500, very close to that. Press enter. Why I'm dropping the picture of the pastor is because I want to pick my colors, the colors for my um, evening praise and worship. I want to pick the colors from his tie. So his tie has colors there. I want to pick my colors for those things there. Okay, so at this point, I want you to bring your praise and evening so that they are close, slightly close to each other. That's very slightly close to each other while maintaining your alignments. Just bring them slightly close to each other. Our flyer is looking good. So make sure your offer and are still outside. We'll still deal with them later. Off and they are looking too big. We might reduce the size later, but just work with this for now. Our flyer is looking good. The shapes, I'm going to draw some shapes. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, Control plus, plus to zoom in. So I'm going to draw a circle shape between the G and E of that's around this side here. So go to your shape tool, select ellipse tool, hold shift and draw. Go back to your move tool. So remove the stroke. remove the stroke. I'm sorry, remove the stroke. Let me draw this ellipse tool again. Now I want you to notice something. Make sure the next object you are going to draw is at the top of your layers panel. So to get that, select what is at the top of your layers panel. Currently is our preacher's picture. So make sure it's selected, then go select your ellipse tool. I'm going to draw my ellipse, a circle, by holding shift. Back to move tool. So the size of my ellipse is 206. You can make your own 207. So it's too big. Let's reduce it a little bit and bring it here. Let's enter. Remove the stroke. And for the fill, I'm going to pick a color from pastel style. So select color here. And I'll pick a yellow color from the sky. So if you want to use the color I'm using, it's FBA 752. So we have our rectangle there. So we'll move the off to it. And you notice that the off is behind the ellipse. So what we'll do is come to the layers panel, select the off and drag it up until we get to the top and put it on top of our circle. I'll use my arrow keys to adjust it a little bit. Now let's reduce the size. I'll go with 40. So I'm just going to use my arrow keys to adjust my off. Click outside to see what I have. Then I'll draw a rectangle. I'll make sure my off is selected. Okay, one trick we can do is go below the and. So this is and layer here. So we want this rectangle to come below and. So what we'll do is select the layer that is below and, which is brace, and draw a rectangle on top of it. So if we draw a rectangle, just draw a rectangle here, then select move tool, remove the stroke, we use the same color. So the color we used before, Photoshop automatically saves it as recently used colors. So just pick it and all right. So for the and, now this worship is this rectangle is behind worship. So that means we have to bring worship below the rectangle. Then we will also change its angle to -8. -8. Reduce the size a bit so it doesn't cover hold shift. Reduce the size a little bit. So we can also bring it to this side. Here. Move our hand. Alright, so I'll reduce the size of my hand. I think the size is okay. I don't need to reduce it. What I need to change is the angle to -8. Yeah, so I'll reduce the size a little bit. I'll go with 40. And I'll use my arrow keys to adjust it. Alright, so the next thing is to apply colors to our um, theme. So for evening, we're going to learn, this is where we're going to learn blending options. So blending options is what we use to add effects. So to apply a blending option to any layer, just select the layer, like my evening layer is selected here. Right click, you will see blending options at the top. So there are two important blending options we're going to add. The first one is gradient overlay. We want to get this effect. You see the effects that's giving me. If you look at, let me cancel. If you look at this, you see their own evening. The E, that's the edges are darker, while the middle is light. So the way they achieve that is that they use a gradient. Right click, blending option. So a gradient is a combination of two colors or two or more colors. So under this blending options, you will see uh, gradient overlay. If you don't see gradient overlay, come to this FX and select gradient overlay. Now go to gradient overlay, just click on it. It will give you the gradient. Select the gradient. Now we're going to change the colors. It's your Photoshop version might have some pre-made gradients. So if I come to purple, I can see some gradients here. Just select this one. So you can use a pre-made gradient, or you can make one yourself. So if you want to make one yourself, um, that uh, you just make the adjustments here. So you can come here and make the adjustments for the gradient. So let's do something that is close to what those people have. I'll make this color darker. So I'll choose a darker purple. Let's bring it to this side. Then in the middle here, we'll add another one. So to add another one, just double click on, just click close to this one. I made a mistake, sorry. To add another one, just click very close to it. So just use this gradient. Click OK. Click OK to apply. The same thing for worship. Make sure worship layer is selected. Right click, blending options, gradient overlay. It will automatically apply the previous one by itself. Okay. Then for praise, we're going to use a white color. Let's use white color. Then we're going to apply another effect called drop shadow. Right click, blending options. Then you will see drop shadow. If you don't see drop shadow, come to this FX and select drop shadow. So drop shadow. Increase the spread to around 18 and the distance to 15. So size should be, put your size at 48. So distance is 15, spread is 18, size is 48. Press OK. So you see the effect that's giving us. I want to increase the size of this my praise. I'll click here. Sorry. So if the elements are blocking, you just move them. I'll just move them to a new location. Is that you have to group them. If I say group now, wahala. All right, so you just make sure it doesn't. So we see we have, but I feel like this color does not match the design. Having doubts about this color. Yeah, it's looking odd, looking very odd. So you say it's looking odd, but let's work with it. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is drop the picture of the person that will be ministering in worship. My size is let's see, the width is 800 or 804. So these guys will be ministering in worship. Then we can come and place our date and time. So what dates did they use here? Theirs is down, but since our pictures are down, we're going to place our own at the middle. So the date is 26 July, and they have this see the calendar icon there. So we're going to use that. Go back to Photoshop. Go back to Photoshop, and from your flyer design, calendar icon is there. My size is uh, let's go for 180. Sorry. Then you can just enter any date chart. Let me say 22nd, 22 July, Juki, July 2023. So I use enter to bring the 2023 down. Use the size. I'm holding shift. I did do recording. Thank you. Don't need your voice. So change this back to area. Let's use area regular. For this guy, I want to give the yellow color of this. Hmm? You do that because this is a picture. You cannot change the color directly from Photoshop. You will use what we call an overlay. So instead of gradient overlay, we are going to do blending options. We are going to use color overlay. If you don't see color overlay, come here and select color overlay. It has already automatically entered the color for me, but if you don't get this color, click here. Make sure you're in color overlay. Click here, use your tool and select this color. Okay, okay, it has applied it. The next thing is the venue. Our venue is street name. Okay, let's just come up with a venue. So what we use for venue mostly in graphic design is what we call the map pin. So this is a map pin. You can see they use it in their own here. So the old way is to write address, but it depends on what you want to do. You can write address, you can use that style, but this is style most people use these days. So let's drop that from your. So this is your map pin. Just drag and drop. Reduce the size. I'm pressing Shift and Control. So the same thing. I think I'll go for 200, right? 180. Yeah, 180 was the size we used. Shift and Control. Shift and Alt. Sorry. So that we can resize from the center. If I want to use these texts, I'll bring my mouse close to it, press and hold Alt, that's ALT, until I have two arrows. See two arrows there, right? Then I'll drag it. See, it will duplicate it for me. So I'm pressing Alt on my keyboard. So I'll say 10, 10, PH. So that's our address. And we'll apply the same. Now, as a professional designer, this one is here, right? This calendar is here. We want to make sure that these two are aligned. What you do is bring another guide, place the guide at the center of this one. It's at the center. Then press enter, sorry. You can now move this one with your arrow keys. This is now aligned. And we'll apply the same color overlay. So now Photoshop knows that the color overlay you want to use is yellow. So it automatically puts yellow for you. Press OK. Now, for the names of the ministers, we are going to use, see they use this stylized squares here. We'll do the same thing. So for this guy, rectangle 2, make sure, select the topmost layer because we want everything to appear on top. So just draw your rectangle. Move the stroke. Remember, we have been using yellow color. Remember repetition, principle of repetition from our class. So this is repetition. Using the same colors for the shapes is repetition. Okay. So if you want to get this kind of style here, what you do is select the shape, right click, sorry, select the shape, press Ctrl T on your keyboard. When you press Ctrl T, you'll notice that these two will appear. Right click, select skew. When you select skew, come here, you'll see this kind of arrow. Then drag. You now have this shape. So when you are done, click on accept here. Yes. Then come back to your. So just write the name of the. You can write the name of the. Now I want you to notice something. If you try to write the name of the pastor while the shape is selected, it will mess everything up. You might start messing everything up. So it's not even typing. It has changed the shape to a text layer. Ctrl Z. So just Ctrl Z that. What you do is, if the shape is selected, select the text tool and type at any random place. Just type any random place. Okay. Click at any random place. Let's say Pastor Obi. Reduce the size. Remember, hold Shift. And cannot bring it close. So let's make it bold. So in Arial, just make it bold. I'm going to use the color of his tie, this blue color here, as the color of the name. Then we're going to type ministry. Just keep typing, don't worry. You can always change it later. So let's say size should be 16. It will reduce. So what you want to do is remove. I'm going to make it regular so it doesn't compete with. You notice that it's now behind, right? So if it's behind, you can press Control. That will waste time. Just this ministry, right? Just move it until you get to the top. So just keep it here until you get to the top. Then drop it. You see those two blue lines, right? showing you where the thing is going to drop. If I want to drop it here, it will show me here. If I want to drop it here, so but what we want is at the top. So drop it there. It will come back to the top. Ministry. Good. Now we'll select this one. We want to duplicate this shape. Select this shape. Press Alt. Once you press Alt, you see that you have two arrows. Then drag. You can do the same thing for the name. Drag. Name these guys. So if it's too long, if it's going to be too long, just press enter to go to the next line. I'll call them Praise Brothers. Then reduce the size. Alignment is very important. Select this one. This is the center, right? Bring a guide. Select it. Bring a guide. Then you see that this is not properly aligned. Okay. Do the same for this one. Select the shape. Drag a guide. This one is already aligned, so see, I'm a good designer. So use your arrow keys to align this one to the center. You have that. Press Ctrl C to see what you've done. If you want to remove the guides, you can go to View, Show, then remove guides. You can now see what you've done. Created something nice. Now, this blending options is very, like, if you want to be good, if you want to make really nice designs in Photoshop, this blending option is where all the magic, most of the magic happens. We're going to do another magic again. So most of the magic is here, just for the effects. You can add stroke. See, you see this stroke now. See, another design has come up. How did I do it? Okay, we apply stroke. So select stroke here. Then for the stroke has gradients. You can come and select a gradient. Select grace. Choose any one. Just choose the one that will give you the best effects. If you don't like that one, just look for another one that will give you the best effects. So this. Then if yours is small, you can increase the size of the stroke. So this is another effect. Just giving this another effect. And you just come and play around with all this. Don't be scared of anyone. Play. If you don't like it, you click cancel. You understand? So this is another. I've applied this. Let me apply it to the same one too. Right click, blending options. So Photoshop might remember it and apply it automatically. So it doesn't. Come and we use something from, sorry, select gradient. We use clouds, right? Clouds, select the first one. Okay. Just increase the size. So we're giving it another effect that was not even here. So Photoshop is very powerful. Those blending options. Another thing we are going to do is, let me show you how to make this picture black and white. Select the picture. Selected on the, if you look at these ones, they are all black and white, right? Now you get the effects for black and white on the, this is properties panel. Come to adjustments. This adjustment panel is another place where a lot of magic happens. So if you put your mouse on each of the, you see their names. So this is black and white. To click on black and white, to apply black and white to, now notice something happens. It is applying black and white to everything that is under this place. If you want it to apply to only the picture, press and hold Alt and then bring your mouse very close until you see this thing. I'm pressing Alt, I'm pressing and holding Alt, then just click once. So this is telling you that this black and white is being applied to only the preacher. So that's why it's black and white. So let's do it for these guys. Select them. This is their picture on the layer. So let me just name it Praise Brothers so that we don't get confused. Praise Brothers. How do we do it? Remind me. So we're in Praise Brothers. What do we do now? We go to where? Adjustment. Select black and white. It might apply to everything. What do we do? Press and hold Alt. Bring your mouse pointer close to it until you have this. Then click once. See, now has black and white effects. There are still so many things we can do to this design to give it a lot of effects. So like this, our design is ready to go. But I would have loved to show you um, other adjustments, effects here. So let me just show you some other adjustments. Let me delete this one. So if you want to remove the effect, this is the adjustment layer, black and white, right? So this is the adjustment layer. Everything you add to Photoshop creates a layer. Especially when you add effects. So if you delete this, the black and white will go away. Make sure you delete it twice. Now, another effect is hue and saturation. Let's start from the first one, brightness and contrast. You select brightness and contrast. You can increase the brightness of, if you want the brightness to appear to affect only the picture, you see this here. Remember this now. Just select it and it applies to only the picture. So your client might tell you, my picture is not very bright. This is where you come and adjust the brightness. So you can brighten it up a little bit. If you don't want it, you click on this to delete it. Now you can add multiple effects on one but just make sure you select the last one you applied. Go to adjustments. If you want to change the color of the person, you use what we call hue and saturation. You select that and adjust. Remember when we talked about color, we said that color is, another name for color is hue. So this is currently applying to everything. So we just click here. It's only applied to the pastor. So if this is an effect you are looking for, you can come to hue and saturation to change the color of pictures. So these are examples of some of the effects you are going to be using in design. So another interesting one is color balance. Yes, color balance, another interesting one. And if you don't like the results you are getting from hue and saturation, I'll recommend you use color balance. So you see, assuming all our design has green color, we'll use this color balance and move the picture towards the green side to get the green color effects. So these are just, I'll send links to other tutorials that we use to understand these things. So for this, we are just going to stick with black and white and click here. So if you don't want to use that pressing Alt, you can just click here and it will affect only the picture. Here. To affect only the picture. So with this, we are very, very done with our, so let's see, is there any other thing we are missing? No. We've not entered our date and time. let's do that. Where do we place that now? What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom, I'm going to reduce the size of these guys. So if you want to select two objects, remember select press shift, reduce the size. My weight is 143, 473. Press enter. Do this for it's too small. So let me just undo that. Let's get that. For our time, we can put our time close to the dates. It's not a crime because date and time are the same thing. Proximity. So what we'll do is type. Let's say the time for the program is 8 p.m. I'll make this bold and reduce the size. Why I'm making the 8 p.m. bold so that it is different from these guys. If you want to even make it more different, you can draw a straight line, a rectangle. Let's draw a small rectangle. I'll zoom in and make it smaller. This is size. Let's make this size 20. And we are going to align it. We'll draw a guide. Let me align everything to the center here. So center. Center. So everything now looks nice. Let's do the same thing for here. So if you want to remove your guides, press Ctrl semicolon. Your guides are gone. So this is your design. Now, to send this to your clients, you need to export it. File, export, export as. So make sure your work is selected. Make sure it's in JPEG. Select export. You can give it a name. I'm going to name mine worship. Flyer. Save. There's something we missed. Let's add that. This guitar I have here is not for fancy. I'm going to add it to the design. To do that, select the background. The background is selected. Bring in the guitar. Just to give it more, more spice, more vibes. Let's bring it to this side. It looks nice here, right? Very nice design. So these are some of the things. When you are doing this in reality, these images now, you go on Google, just go on your browser. That's why as a designer, I don't have data. It's not an excuse. Just search for guitar. I've shown you how to do this before. Let me show you again. Search for guitar. Go to images. If you want to get one with a transparent background, click on tools, select color, and select transparency. So it will only give you results. You see the guitar that we use is already here. This is the exact guitar that we use. So you see it has a transparent background. Right click, save image or download image depending on the browser you are using, and then you can bring it in. So all these images that are used in design, they are gotten from Google. You can Google them and download them. So save your work. Now that we've made an adjustment, we have to export it again. So file export, export as. So export. I'm going to replace the previous ones. Save. Yes. So this flyer is not perfect. You can still on your own tweak it, adjust some more things. Go on bring Pinterest because most of these ones I did. I got the idea from Pinterest. I also wanted using this as part of my idea. So you can use a different background. You can try and use a different shape for the on and off and everything, and just give it your own style. When you are done, export and send to me. Okay.